I think, dream big in retirement. Don't just settle for it. It's one of the most important times of your life. Dream big, do what you really want to do and go for it.
Hello and welcome to the Retire Once Show, the show designed to help you get to retirement, but most importantly, stay retired. I'm your host, Johnathan Rankin. I'm the founder and CEO of Theorem Wealth Management, and I'm joined today by my lovely co-host.
Hi, I'm Melissa Rankin. Thank you for joining us.
And boy, do we have a great show for you today. We have some special guests that we had the opportunity to interview, and I'm so excited to share that with you. Mel, why don't you tell them who we got today?
So today we have John and Bev, the retirement travelers. It's amazing to hear their story. You're definitely not going to want to miss it.
These two sold everything they own. They only have 70 pounds worth of clothes that they travel the world with after they retired. And when I thought about what do most people tell us they want to do after they retire?
Travel.
They always say, I want to travel. But these two took it to the extreme, and we are so excited to interview them and share their story with you. You can follow them along at the Retirement Travelers YouTube page, Instagram, or Facebook. But this is our interview with John and Bev. We are here. We are joined by John and Bev, the Retirement Travelers, and we are so happy to have you guys here. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us. I found your guys' channel on YouTube and I was immediately hooked, and I showed it to Melissa and I said, this is the ideal retirement lifestyle if I had a choice, and I have to figure out how to get these two on the show. So thank you so much for being here and for agreeing to do this for us.
The decision to kind of travel around, I mean, I feel like that's retirement goals at its finest. But you guys took it a step further and decided to do it in an Airstream. I mean, that is close quarters. How did you guys handle that?
It was. Now, remember, the Airstream wasn't our first choice. I retired at the end of 2019 after a long career in the mining and metals industry, and Bev had stayed home raising kids. And when I retired, we had planned on going to Europe and doing maybe a 3 or 4 month trip and living a lifestyle of snowbirds, where we had a home in Kentucky and a condo in Florida. And that was kind of the plan for retirement. And lo and behold, COVID hit. And so we had to make a complete change of plan. So we canceled our Europe trip, and Bev had the idea of getting an Airstream and said, why don't we go see the country? It's actually a great way to still travel during the pandemic, and which it was. So we set out on a journey to hit all the national parks in the lower 48 and all the states. And yes, it was very tight quarters. It taught us a lot. I mean, we were together all the time. We learned to communicate and work better together. And so it was really a blessing. The other thing it taught us was we could get by on 250 square feet. We did not need two homes and a condo and the cars and everything. So we really began our journey of further minimalism with that trip. So it all worked out for the best.
So before you retired, your guys' plan wasn't to travel the world? Is that, was just to take occasional trips, or was this your plan from the very beginning?
Our plan was always to travel. Like, we had budgeted maybe a 3 or 4 month trip every year, or at least a 2 month trip, because travel was really a passion of ours and we really wanted to do that. So we had planned to always do some traveling. And when we started this, I said, oh, well, I'll just blog, I'll write. Being a stay-at-home mom all these years, with 5 kids, my career kind of took a sideline through the years, and raising children became the priority. So I really wanted an opportunity to express myself and have an opportunity to be creative. So I thought, well, I'll just write. And so when we started on this trip, we thought, we'll write. John said, I'll start a YouTube channel. How hard can it be? Famous last words. So, that's how we started on the trip. But then when we had to pivot during COVID, And we really spent our summers outdoors, and, we tried to travel very safely and take all the precautions, but we lived in our Airstream. We lived away from people. In RV parks around the country, people were social distancing very well. National parks were not open. The park ranger would meet us outside.
Oh, wow.
We had a great opportunity to get out and hike some wonderful trails and see some great things. So for us, our plan, we kind of pivoted after that and started just YouTubing, and I kind of gave up the blog for a little while. I'm starting it back up, but that's kind of how we started that. And then we transitioned into being, our idea was to go travel the world after the first year.
That's right. Just being away and getting a taste of full-time travel, we realized that we're frugal people. We couldn't handle paying golf dues and HOA fees, and being traveling most of the year and still paying all those. So we decided that just didn't make sense. So
Very practical.
Also from a financial standpoint, we realized, when you really add up how much are you spending. We were debt-free going into retirement, but you still have a lot of costs with taxes and insurance and HOA and golf fees and all the things associated, with that lifestyle. We decided we really don't need those things. Let's spend those resources on travel.
And we really couldn't afford to travel full time and keep that lifestyle. So we had to make a choice at some point. We either had to, for us to go live our life. We were kind of young to retire. John was 55 when we retired. So we kind of ended up in Florida, kind of a little bit too early, we thought, to just spend our life without a big goal or a big challenge. And we wanted a challenge. We wanted something else to do in at least for 10 years or so. And now, who knows?
We are challenged beyond belief right now, but the lifestyle of just getting up and playing golf and doing the same thing 4 or 5 days a week. It was fun for a while, but we realized we did want more. And believe me, this has challenged us, but it's challenging us mentally. And we're loving it. We're learning so much about the world and cultures. We're really having a blast. We started off with a thought of, we'll sell our home. We'll do this for 10 years and we'll move back to our neighborhood. And that was kind of the original plan. Now it's indefinite. We know that whenever we end this, we will come back to a much smaller place. But now we can't even think of settling down at this point. We're loving this so much.
We'll probably just slow down.
We might just slow down and instead of spending a week at a place, we'll spend a month, that sort of as we age.
So take us back to when you retired at the end of 2019, COVID hit. Yeah. Was there any concern at all from a retirement standpoint? Like, the markets were going crazy at the time, economy was kind of in flux. Was there any concern or hesitation around staying retired at that point? I'm really curious about that part of it.
No, we had budgeted. I mean, we're spending our money differently than what we had planned. We thought it was going to be, golf courses and HOAs and a snowbird lifestyle. Instead of spending our retirement income on that, we're spending it on travel. But we had planned for a long time. We entered retirement debt-free. We have a great financial planner that we work with, and so we've run all the scenarios and felt very comfortable. And actually, by selling our house and investing that money, we're actually in a stronger financial position than before we started traveling full time.
Oh, that's amazing. So
where's your favorite place that you visited in the lower 48? That is one thing that we talk about traveling with our kids, and we say, I don't know where we want to go. That might be, what's the number one place you said, you got to see this? What would that be?
Oh my gosh, there are so many things. But first of all, let me just add something. If you mentioned your children, our firm belief is that children should travel as much as you can do with them, especially when they're young, especially while they're home. Take that time to go see as much of the US as you can. But if we had to pick just a few places, I would say go to Caddo Lake in Texas. It is one of the most beautiful places. It's the largest
Bald cypress.
cypress forest in the world. You can rent a pontoon boat that will take you out at sunrise, and you can tour around and through all of these Spanish moss. It is one of the most beautiful places, and I think a lot of people don't even know it exists.
It's on the Louisiana-Texas border.
Yes,
Really,
it's in
not,
Northeast Texas.
it's not real
South of
touristy.
Texarkana, about 2 hours maybe.
Interesting.
Near Jefferson, in Jefferson, Texas, you've probably heard of it. It is the bed and breakfast capital of I believe, the U.S. So it has a lot of bed and breakfast. It's a beautiful old town. There was a riverboat. It was a riverboat town. So yeah, that's a beautiful place.
So we got to see beyond just the, we have kind of our favorite national parks, probably Utah, Colorado, California area, but we saw a lot of cool state parks. Some that come out, Caddo Lake is amazing. Custer State Park in South Dakota is amazing. And we really like Jekyll Island in Georgia. So, there's lots of great state parks as well, but it just some amazing parks.
Well, Melissa, we've got a lot of travel to do.
I've got a list going now of places that we must see.
So what is your long-term plan? You mentioned at some point, slowing down a little bit. Does it ever make you nervous that you don't have anything right now, that if you wanted to just say, I want to stop traveling and just settle down, is that a process that you feel like you could just do immediately, or do you just think that's down the road?
Yeah, no, I think we could do it immediately, but it is way down the road. Someone asked us recently what would cause us to slow down, and obviously our health. If we were to get sick, or if one of our children or grandchildren were to be sick and they needed us, we would certainly go home in a heartbeat. That's a definite. But for us, I think we just really, we still have a journey to go on. We want to go to as many countries as we can. And we're not just counting countries. We really do want to experience the countries, and we want to taste the food and, meet the people. The people are the charm of travel for us.
It is.
Who we meet on the road, besides the locals, we meet fellow travelers, we meet just the most interesting people. So.
We just 2 days ago, we met a couple at a bus station in Brașov, Romania. They're backpacking the world, did something very similar to us, and we've just been hanging out the last 3 days, trading travel stories and tips, and it's been great. So this has been going on for months now, where we meet people, and they'll end up staying with us at an Airbnb, or we go to dinner, or we have lifelong friendships developed through the people we've met, both online and in person around the world.
So you mentioned Airbnb. Is that how you guys are staying from country to country? Is it Airbnbs, or is it hotels? Is it a mix? Walk us through that part.
Well, we're staying in Airbnbs, and we had pretty much booked up our first year on Airbnbs. We kind of overplanned. We really have regretted it from the time we started, because we really wished that we had been more vagabondish. And there are people out you meet that travel, and they'll say, oh, did you go to this town? And we're like, no, we don't have that on our schedule. But next year, we definitely are going to do that. We're not going to book ahead. We'll
book our overseas flights, but then kind of fill in the gaps, a lot less planning involved.
Yeah, but we did more Airbnbs this year. We've been a little disappointed in Airbnb, just because the pictures are always better than the experience. But so we've had some really, really wonderful ones and some not so good ones. It's hard when you're traveling and you just can't tell by the pictures. But probably next year we'll be in Southeast Asia more. We'll probably stay in some more hotels. If you're traveling in a country that is very low cost, like Romania, or in Southeast Asia, or those countries, you can get a hotel for inexpensive with breakfast. So
$50 a night with breakfast,
or even $30 in some cases that are probably just as good. I mean, it's really cheap over here. It's costing us about a fourth of what it costs in in the United States to stay here and to eat in a restaurant. I mean, the dollar's on sale right now. So, it's the dollar right now, the dollar and the euro are the same. And usually it's a little different. So
And that's probably helped out a little bit, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
two
And
things have helped us on our journey so far. We feel a little blessed that the dollar's doing well over here. And while we were traveling across the country, the gas prices were
we're glad we're not pulling up the Airstream now.
So
we had a hard time with the toilet paper the second year, but other than that, that was it.
So from a retirement perspective, is there anything that you would have done differently? Looking back so far, your journey's still so fresh and you're just really starting out over the past couple of years, but anything that you guys would have done differently?
From a retirement standpoint?
Yeah, just for that transition to retirement, or even the first few, I'd say years on your guys' journey.
Yeah, well, going into retirement, as I moved up in my career later in my career, we would make some moves around the country, and we look back on it and we overbought homes. We bought homes bigger than what we needed, and it kind of was a little bit of a lifestyle creep. If we had it to do over maybe the last 5 to 8 years of my career, we would have started downsizing way earlier.
Yes, that's true. And because our children, when we started moving around the country, they were in college. We didn't even need the bedrooms we had. And instead of going smaller like we should have, we kind of went bigger, and we shouldn't have done that. It was a big mistake as far as financial planning for our retirement.
Was it a big adjustment to start getting rid of things? Was that hard? Just I think of
sentimental things. I mean,
just to downsize.
Well, here's what we did. Here's what we did with our sentimental things. We tried to have a good attitude about things. We gave a lot of stuff to the children. If they wanted something, they could have it. As far as pictures and keepsakes that John and I had as a child, we took boxes and we created a box for each child. We gave them our keepsake that we wanted them to have. We divvied up all of our family photos into 5 boxes, and we sent them to all of the children. And we told them, with the stipulation, you do not have to keep any of it. But I went through probably, how the small moving box, we had about 12 boxes of those full of pictures. It took me a whole week to go through all the stuff like that. It was so much stuff. And I had already done the children's things, when they moved out of the house and they got married, it was like, here's your stuff. So you take it, it's on you. And so we had kind of done that through the years, but still.
It was a process. It took, 3 years or so. Like I said, we had a home and a condo, and we found that we were buying 2 of everything. And then we stopped that and just decided to go to Florida. But even then we overbuilt. I mean, we built a large walk-in closet in our bedroom for a bunch of clothes that we hardly ever wore.
Yeah.
It was madness when you think about it.
Yeah.
And so I had probably 25 pairs of golf shorts and 30 golf shirts and all these, or maybe it's so many. It's like, I got them all lined up. And now people laugh. I have 1 golf shirt, and that's it. That is basically all we own.
Well, we have a couple of
we have a suit at my.
But we carry everything that we. that we
70 pounds is all we carry, and that's pretty much all of our clothes. And we just recently did a packing video, and basically we pack for a week and wash our clothes and move on. You don't need to carry all this stuff with you.
But when we downsize, the thing we had to remember is that it is just stuff. And the more we travel and the more it probably took us a few months. We talked about that a lot. That was the biggest thing we talked about when we started our journey abroad, was we don't have any stuff. Because by that time we had sold the Airstream, and we don't have any stuff. And it was the topic of our conversation at dinner. It was the thing we talked about. And we really kind of went through it with the idea that, we were so much happier without all of that stuff. And
It was like a ball and chain. I'm telling you, it was, you know, when we were gone on the RV trip, is the boat okay? Is it going to get hit by a hurricane?
Oh.
Who's taking care of this? Now we have none of those types of issues or worries. We can just focus on the things that are important to us. And so,
you know, and I would say this, if you're thinking about all the stuff you have, there are so many great videos online and YouTube about downsizing and organizing your things. But I was a good organizer. I organized a lot of stuff
that we didn't
I
need.
was a good organizer. So, I mean, I had all my spice bottles that I hardly ever used. But I watched this video once that showed this woman with her daughter's closet, and she went through every item in the closet, and she talked about how it paired with different things. But the little girl only had like 7 little dresses. And that was so moving to me that I didn't need all the stuff that I thought I needed. But really, it's the stuff managing your lawn and who's going to mow the yard and planting your flowers and all the things you have to do that we don't have to think about.
Yeah.
All the little details kind of get overwhelming.
Yeah,
so I'm sure
all
it was
details.
freeing, kind of like, we're done.
Yes,
we don't
it
really
is.
have to think about that at all.
You guys are making me want to sell everything right now. I'll tell you.
I have to ask, is it tough being away from the kids and the grandkids?
Yes.
Yes.
It is. But you know, we FaceTime with them. We try to FaceTime with them every week. We have 8 grandchildren, and that is tough. We text with our kids almost daily. I think our kids have been such great sports, and they've said, this is your time to go see the world. You know, you're still young, you can do it, and good for you for doing it. If they weren't that way and they weren't as supportive, this would probably be harder.
And they're spread out across the country, and we were in Florida away from them before. So we typically, you know, would see everyone 2-3 times a year anyway.
Right.
And we're, you know, our plans are to shift up our travel some and be able to return to the US, you know, multiple times and be able to see the kids. And then, you know, our long-term vision is, as the grandkids get a little bit older, we want to give the gift of the world to them. And our plans are to take them with us, you know, in the summer times, to give them experiences all over the world that most kids in that, you know, 9 to 15 range don't get to do. So that is kind of what drives us to keep going, to do that for them.
And we are trying to teach our grandkids about the world. We've sent them all globes. They know where Grammy and Papa are. They ask us, so where are you? And the other day we said, we're in Romania. And do you know where that is? No, let me go get my map. Let me go get my globe and find it. And so, you know, our grandchildren are learning about where we are. We send them postcards every week. So yeah, it's a little bit harder. And like John said, we're trying to get home. Probably next year we'll be home 3 times, and, you know, they're spread out. So we'll, and plus we, you know, meet up with our kids. So we just met up with them in the Bahamas and on a cruise. So
and one of our daughters is coming to Paris for New Year's and meet us. So, you know, we're getting extra visits.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So do you find it hard to be on travel and stick to, you know, like a defined budget, or do you budget, or is it just, hey, let's just try not to go over this for the year? Or, you know, how do you handle that aspect of it?
We don't really have a budget, do we? What do you think?
Yeah, it's not a super defined budget. We know what we can afford and what we can't afford. Like we will spend money on an experience that might be extravagant, but then again, we take public transportation and trains and go to the grocery store and cook in the Airbnbs. You know, we're very, very frugal in some aspects, but we want the experiences. So the biggest factor, we're actually putting together a video on world travel costs, because we get this all the time. And it's very much like, how much does a house cost? Well, a lot of factors go into that. How much does world travel cost? A lot depends on the country, how quickly you go, you know, how you do your transportation, how many times you eat at restaurants. All those things can drastically change how much it costs. So we try to balance high cost and low cost countries. You know, the year that we've been gone, we've probably spent more time in low-cost countries than high. Central America and Colombia is dirt cheap. We loved it down there. Italy, we couldn't handle a year in Venice. Okay, that would bankrupt us. But we got to see it for a few days,
and we were in Greece during the shoulder season when we had good prices on our places. So
yeah, that's the other thing. Don't go at the peak season, and you can get some good deals. So bargains are you can travel reasonably. We don't do the Rick Steves type tours. We do all of our own planning, so we save a lot of money in those areas that enables us to travel a lot more.
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. And is there one place overseas that you found as your favorite that you eventually might go back to? Because I know you want to see more places, but is there anything you want to go back to?
Oh gosh,
well, there are a few places. So we love Lake Atilan in Guatemala. We had a lot of naysayers who said, "Don't go there; it's dangerous." And it was we felt the safest when we were on that lake.
Oh, it was incredible!
It was incredible.
It's a mile-high lake up in the mountains of Guatemala with 3 volcanoes around it.
Oh wow!
It's an amazing place.
It was amazing. We went to Gondros. It's an island about 45 minutes from Santorini, and we were there in the off season, so it was the shoulder season, right before Easter. The place was covered with wildflowers, and there were a million hiking trails, and we just never saw anyone the whole time. There were rock wall terraced all over the island. It was beautiful.
We had an Airbnb on the side of a cliff, like a 500-foot cliff overlooking the Aegean Sea, with the turquoise waters. It was unbelievable. So that was a great place. And then the whole Balkans have been amazing. Ljubljana, Slovenia, and Lake Bled are just
should be
gorgeous places, and we could probably go back there as well.
Yeah,
that is.
But
amazing.
we love Romania. We are shocked at Romania and how beautiful it is. Right now we're in Bucharest, and we have been in Cluj and Timișoara and Brasov, and
just got back from Dracula's castle yesterday.
Well, I have one last question for you. If someone watching this who's maybe they're not retired yet, or maybe they just retired, and they could take one thing away from your guys' journey, what would you want them to just take away and learn from?
I think, dream big in retirement. Don't just settle for it. It's one of the most important times of your life. Dream big, do what you really want to do and go for it. That would be our advice is don't set boundaries for yourself in retirement. You got so much potential. Hopefully you've learned a few things over the years. Use the knowledge you've gained and go for it.
That is great advice.
Absolutely. Thank you both, John, Bev. Thank you both so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. I know that we're probably going to get a lot of questions, and I might reach out to just say, hey, we got a couple questions to follow up on, but thank you so much. We wish you guys the best on your travels.
Yes, absolutely. Safe travels.
We will be following along. Can we share with everybody? How can everybody follow along with you guys?
They can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retirement Travelers. We try to post a video every week. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We're working to redesign our website. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so on one of those platforms. But everything is Retirement Travelers.
Yeah, we want to have a website that retired people can go and kind of be a central resource for everything travel related, as far as destinations, how to travel, etc. We try to inspire people to get out and see the world.
You guys are very inspiring. Absolutely.
Yes, and thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and good luck on all the travels. We'll be following along.
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
thank
thanks.
you. Bye.
John, Bev, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. What a great story. And I'll tell you, Mel, I think that I want to sell everything and just travel the world. What do you say?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know about the Airstream. I don't know if I could handle the 200 square feet roughly. No offense.
Is it because of me or is it because of the kids?
The kids.
Yeah.
We'll go with the kids.
I mean, I could travel with you forever in an Airstream, just the two of us, assuming that you don't do the driving.
Oh, well, then we wouldn't make it forever anyway.
Well, we are so happy that they were able to join us, and make sure that you subscribe, one, to our channel. So hit the subscribe button now, but also check out the Retirement Travelers, check out their YouTube page and their Instagram and Facebook as well. We wish them all the best on their endeavors. We're going to be following them along as they continue to travel the world and give us all envy and hope that
we're going to be living vicariously through them for the time being.
Yes, we will. Thank you again. I'm Johnathan Rankin.
And I'm Melissa Rankin. Thank you.